Have you noticed the subtle energy harvesting that is going on, especially on Instagram, on all social media platforms? But I'm on Instagram the most, and that's the one I'm going to speak about. And I went through a long time back and followed a bunch of hashtags, right? And so you will see any post that has that hashtag tagged on it. And a lot of times the post and the hashtag do not compute. Like there's a complete disparity between why did you tag that self love or self care when it's clearly not an image that supports that. And I think that there is like energy harvesting going on when you're scrolling down and you see some of these things that are clearly there just to get an emotional rise out of you, just to get some kind of emotional response. That right there is not uh, organic and normal. There are forces at work who, just as your job as a light worker is to put out content that promotes life and promotes love and light and helps people feel more unified and helps people feel better about themselves and helps people feel more connected to their self and to others. There are those who are going around intentionally posting things to harvest your emotional energy. We know that the negative polarity, those of, I don't really even want to talk about the people necessarily. The people are just part and parcel of this. I'm talking about the negative forces. Um, the raw material talks about the Orion group, and there are probably other groups that are on this planet that exist for the sole purpose of harvesting energy from humans. And of course, being negatively polarized, fear, anxiety, worry, any of those low vibrations are perfectly acceptable and perfectly fine food source for these entities. And they're stealing your energy, folks. They're stealing all of our energy. Anytime you watch mainstream news, they're siphoning your energy. Anytime you react to something in an emotional way that you saw on television or in a movie or something, there is an energy exchange that is happening. There, you are all of your negative emotions and lower vibrations are being collected and used as a food source for the vampiric, parasitic energy vampires. You call it the satanic kingdom or whatever you want to call it. Um, I think that we have to start zooming out and seeing this beyond some sort of religious paradigm, some sort of God versus devil, good versus evil, God and Satan kind of stuff, because it's really much bigger than that. Because some things that may even say Satan on them aren't necessarily negatively polarized, and that's it's a funny thing to find out, but it's definitely true, and you can't judge a book by its cover. And there are lots of things that appear to be love and light and appear to be good that are actually not. An example, an example. You're scrolling down through your Instagram feed and you see this picture of this poor, pathetic child that is clearly malnourished or is sick, and they appear to be holding up a sign that says, "No one wants to pray for me." And then the caption is like, if you will pray for little Tommy, leave a like or whatever. That's energy harvesting. That right there is not organic. That is not really somebody uh, authentically crying for help. That is a post that has been designed to tug at your empathic heartstrings and get you all emotionally worked up. When you see all these disasters and all this rioting and looting and all this stuff, it's like death by a thousand cuts. You as you scroll through social media, post after post after post. Yeah, it might not get you worked up to see one or two or three or four or a dozen of these types of posts, or divisive political posts. Yeah, one or two or even a dozen of them might not seem to affect you. But I guarantee you, if you allow yourself to get sucked into the vortex of social media and you're scrolling for an hour, uh, there is energy harvesting that is taking place. Guaranteed, there's some negative emotions and things that are happening to you subconsciously. You might just file it away, like, okay, here's another post about COVID. Oh, okay, here's another post about Trump. Here's another post about Joe Biden. Here's another post about rioting. Here's another post about Black Lives Matter. Whatever it is, you can file that away in your little subconscious and just move on with your life. But it is affecting you. It is going in here. And the cumulative effect of this is what the negative forces are banking on. It's they don't have to just bludgeon you with a blunt object. They don't have to just like beat you over the head with fear and anxiety and worry and sadness and sickness and all this stuff. It's tiny little subtle things, and it's being done to all of us. And social media is a very, very big source of this because, let's face it, lots of us are spending a vast number of hours on there weekly, on a regular basis. And we really are going to have to become more diligent about protecting our energy. And I actually had to go through and unfollow a bunch of hashtags and people. I just had to unfollow a bunch of accounts because it's not about like silencing dissent or silencing a differing opinion. There's no reason to do that. I think that it's important to entertain the opinions and the ideas of all people, and allow everyone to speak freely, and you use your discernment to decide if that resonates with you, if that rings true or not. There's no reason to remove information from the field that could potentially be good information. However, it is up to you to, I think, take a little bit of preemptive action, take a little bit of proactive action, and police your social media feed a little bit more. And it's not about silencing those voices which disagree with your already held beliefs. It's about removing things from your view that lower your vibration. Plain and simple. Get rid of things that lower your vibration. Don't allow your mind to be poisoned. It is so easily infiltrated, especially if you're already in a passive, receptive mode, which you are when you're just mindlessly scrolling through your phone. You're in a passive, receptive, oh, let's see what's going on today. Let's see what's going on the social media today. And you do your little scroll. You're already giving your consent by engaging in this activity. That is as much as saying, yes, I want to see whatever it is. They have a right to show it to you, and you have a right to see it. I don't believe in censorship, and I'm not trying to advocate for censorship. I'm advocating for a little bit of self-discipline and a little bit of self-policing. And if we all do this, then there's no need for censorship. If we'll all use our own discernment and turn off those things that really cause us distress. But you have to ask yourself, if you see something that actively causes you distress, why is it causing you distress? If you read something, if you read a political post, for instance, and it causes you to get all like riled up inside, and you start to feel this thing welling up inside of you, like, oh, why? Why did it trigger you? Is it because it's a differing opinion than yours? Is it information that makes you uncomfortable? Is it things that you don't want to think about? We have to be able to discern what it is. Like, is this something that is just designed to harvest my energy and get me all worked up? Or am I worked up about this because it's something I need to consider? Uh, it's so easy for us to get all up in our emotions and just poo-poo things as like, well, that makes me feel bad emotionally, so I just don't. I'm gonna tell that person to go somewhere else. I'm going to block that person. You can't move forward that way by blocking away all of the uncomfortable data and all the uncomfortable opinions. However, you have to limit your exposure to things that upset you. Yes, it's good to be challenged. Yes, it's good to listen to differing viewpoints once in a while. It's the only way to grow. If you're just living in this echo chamber of people that constantly agree with you all the time, you're going to stay right where you're at forever. Or go backwards. You're certainly not going to progress in life as long as you're just allowing yourself to be this passive consumer. And so I guess that's the thing, is like we have to be a little less passive. We have to be a little less receptive. We have to be a little more diligent in what we let into our eyes and ears. Because even if it doesn't seem to affect you at the time, it will cumulatively. This stuff adds up. And I really do think that there are nefarious forces at play that are like causing us to view things that cause us distress, and that's the only reason. It's not somebody trying to raise your consciousness by offering you a different viewpoint or a different perspective. This is a calculated effort to get you all upset and get you all up in your emotions. And once you're already in that emotional place, then you're manipulatable. You've already been manipulated. And I can just see how it's happening to all of us. And because things have been locked down, because things haven't been very free in the way we can move about through the world, we have been spending more time online and in this whole virtual world. And if we're going to do that, we're going to have to find ways to cope with this, especially if you're an empath, which if you're listening to this, you probably are. So if you're a highly sensitive person or an empath, you've got to police yourself a little bit. It's a tough order, really. It's not as simple, when I thought I was just going to make a little 2-minute video here, but the more that I think about this, the more that I realize, like, it's a tough thing to navigate sometimes, because you want to learn and you want to be open to new ideas, but you also don't want to be open to attacks, to energy harvesting. They're just siphoning it off of you. It's happening all the time. And social media is a huge platform for it. So, yeah, I guess I've pretty much exhausted that. I hope you have a wonderful day, night, whatever it is. And stay positive.